Hey, it's editing me. I want to apologize for the really bad quality of the picture. I'm filming from my laptop camera, and I know the sound's not the best either. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to work with the conditions I have at home right now. I really wanted to get a better camera for this type of videos, and I will in the future. But I can't really go out right now with the quarantine going on. So I'm really sorry about the whole quality of the video. I promise future videos will look better. This is kind of the first video of the start of the new phase of my channel. Um, so for those of you who don't know, last month I enlisted in the National Guard, and in this video just kind of want to go over my whole process until now and everything that's happened, why I joined, why you might want to join. I'm gonna put some information in the description as well. From a recruiter, so if you want to reach out to him and ask him questions, he can definitely help out with that. So I want to go over sorry if I keep looking back, I have like a board where I wrote all the pointers I want to talk about so I wouldn't forget about anything. The first thing I want to talk about is the benefits that come with it. So I first found out about the benefits after I decided to join. So I went to my recruiter's office for the first time in early December last year, so it hasn't been a long time since then. But so I went there. I got an email because my school works with them, and so I got an email from my school email, saying like, "Hey, we're recruiting. Here are a list of the benefits you can get with it. If you want to set up an appointment and ask more questions, then we can get your process started. If you want to, just go ahead and reach out to us." And I did. I reached out to them, and so let me look. The benefits, I should still have them, or just send me the email. Right, yeah, so here's the first email I ever got from them. I haven't even never thought about the National Guard. I didn't know it was a thing. And if you don't know what it is, it's just basically like an Army Reserves, but it's not the Army Reserves. We kind of focus more on like national disasters. So like right now with the whole virus that's going around, I'm sure you've heard the National Guard has been activated, and they're the ones bringing food to the people and just helping out with containment zones and all of that. So in the email, he just kind of went on to say, kind of tell us what the National Guard is. I'm just gonna read up the email for you guys so you guys can get a really good idea of what it is. So it says about the National Guard. The National Guard is a part-time service component of the U.S. Army where Guard soldiers do their service within the particular state. So I live in Georgia. That means I'm serving with the Georgia State National Guard. Currently there are 54 National Guards, one per state and territory, and training is 1 week in a month, 2 weeks during the year. So basically, well, I'll keep reading and then I'll explain. This ensures that the unit is ready to be called up in case of natural disasters, emergencies, and other scenarios which the Governor or President of the United States requests use. During this service, members of the Guard maintain full-time jobs or attend college. So I do have another job. I have a part-time job, and then I do have full-time college. When it says it's 1 week in a month, that's what it is. It's every month you go down for a weekend. I think I haven't done drill weekend yet because this was supposed to be my first drill weekend, and as you know, that's not gonna happen because of the virus. So it's kind of a remote drill thing. So I haven't really attended my first drill weekend. Once I do, I'll definitely make another video, kind of telling you guys what happens when you have drill before basic. So yeah, so it's 1 week in a month, and then during the summer you just go down there for 2 whole weeks, and they train you. While you go down for the 2 weeks or the weekend in the month, everything is paid for you. You got where you're gonna sleep is paid for, the food is paid for, the transport is paid for, most of the cases. And then, however, one thing I did not know from reading this that I found out later is that you do have to go to basic training as if you were like a regular Army or Navy or any other branch. So basic is just 6 months for most cases. Mine I think is going to be a bit longer, but I'll go more into detail later on that. So that's the email I got. It explained that, and then it says another one of the reasons to join is 100% paid tuition. So it says this program is immediately available once you join for our organization. So it really depends on your case. For my university, it did. If you want to find out more about where you live in your specific case, you can definitely check out the recruiter information I'm leaving down below, and he'll be able to answer those questions for you, or set you up with a recruiter closer to you. So it says, it currently pays 100% of your tuition for your first professional degree, as long as you maintain a good standing in the guard and you maintain a 2.0 GPA. If you're a sophomore, you can start having your tuition free next semester in spring. So that's really really good. It's a really big help for me because it helped my dad, so he doesn't have to pay for my tuition anymore, and that's like a big charge, like a big weight off his shoulders that I really wanted to take off of him. Um, so another thing you can get is the Montgomery GI Bill, but that's uh, like there's like separate cases for that. Basically what it says is an additional educational benefit you're eligible for is the MGIB and potentially the kicker, depending on your ASVAB score. The lower are the financials for this benefit as of updated as of this month, and we're just gonna put it like somewhere around here so you just can look at that. Take into account this was back in December. It's actually December 2nd, so that's kind of when this all happened. Then 4, and the last reason is job experience. Currently, a student at KSU, that's my university, is on the right path to a great career. Education is important, that's why I obtained 2 different degrees while being on the guard. What puts someone above others when everyone has a degree is experience. We're the 8th largest guard and have plenty of careers available, which can help you check off this box. If you feel this opportunity interests you or you're curious to know more, I would be interested in setting up an appointment and blah blah blah. And then he gave me his contact information that I am going to put again down below. And so after that, I replied the same day. And I just said, good morning, I would be interested in the program. As I said, before this, I had never heard about the National Guard. But when I read about it, I'm like, you know what? That sounds good. Like, it sounds like I'm not doing it for the benefits. I've always wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. In fact, my senior and junior years of high school, I was really interested in going into medicine. As you guys might know, I'm an English major though. But medicine was a close second, which I know is very, very different. But I've always been someone who really likes to help people, so I figured medicine would be a good career for me. I'm really interested in all of the anatomy and stuff like that, but I was really bad at science. So I ended up going with English, and I'm so glad I made a decision. I'm honestly really happy with my career choice. But when I heard this, I'm like, well, that's another opportunity to be able to go out there and help people, right? So I set up an appointment with him, and I went down to talk to him, I think like a couple days later or something like that. So by then it's almost, I don't think it was mid-December yet. It might have been like maybe then in 2 days after like I got the email and stuff. Okay, yeah. So from then I got to meet my recruiter. He's the one I've been working with ever since. He's the one that's been helping me through my whole process. And all we did that day, I think, it was just he just told me about the benefits that I just told you guys about. He told me what the guard was, because again, I didn't know that back then. And he told me that we had to take a test in order to go in, to get in, I guess. And it's the ASVAB. If you don't know what the ASVAB is, it's basically like an SAT type test. It's not that hard. It really isn't. It just goes through math, English, and I think that's it. Like the basic ASVAB. Then you go through some blind scores, but I'll go more into that later on. So all I did that day was talk to him and then take my practice ASVAB test, and I got a 41 on that, which is it's okay. It's not too great. It's not too bad though. You pass with a 31, I believe, because it's not based on grade, it's based on percentile. So you pass with a 31, and the highest you can get is 99. So that first time I got a 41, like 41, and then he told me that was okay because you usually don't do as good in your practice ASVAB as you do in your real one, which he was right about. And so after that, I just went home. I talked to my parents about it because he did tell me about basic then. He told me that I would have to be gone for 6 months, which means skip a semester in school, which again was something I hadn't considered before, because as soon as I graduated high school, I wanted to get into college and get that done with. So he did tell me I would have to probably skip a semester. But talking it over with my parents, they were okay with that because I was always one of the youngest in my class. I graduated at 16 instead of 17. And so then they told me, like, if you miss a semester, it's not gonna be the end of the world. You'll be totally fine. And so I kept on deciding, like, actually, I really like this. And before I decided for sure that's what I wanted, though, I made sure I looked around YouTube videos like this one. People talking about their experiences and their pros and cons, because I wanted to make sure I knew, like, I was getting into something I really wanted to, and not just make a commitment blindly, which you never should do. So I looked at a lot of videos, and the more I looked at them, the more I clicked, like, hey, I really want to do this, right? And so, looking at a couple of the videos, I made my decision, and I decided I really did want to do this. So I told my recruiter, and he told me that we just had to fill out my, like, intro packet, I think is what it was. It's just basically like going through your references, going through where you've worked, where you've lived. It's usually only back 7 years, but I moved to the States only about 3 years ago now, so I would have to go back to where I lived before here and kind of like look for references that knew me then, and that was a bit complicated, but nothing too bad or anything like that. Especially if you've lived in the same place all your life, it's really going to be a breeze for you. Your parents should know all that information, and it's kind of easy. The only thing I would have an issue with is my ankle and my knees, because you kind of need waivers for any surgeries you might have had. And I've had two surgeries. I've had two on my knee, so one on each knee, and then one on my left ankle. I wasn't like a broken ankle. It was a simple procedure. It was nothing to be worried about. And those were when I was 10 years old for my ankle, so 2010, and then I was, I think, 12 for my knee, so that was like 2012. I'm sorry, or 2011, somewhere around that time. And so I had to look for paperwork from that, which I didn't have, and I tried to reach out to my surgeon and all that stuff, but since it's been so long, they didn't have any of my paperwork for that. And so I had to make an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon here, where I live now. And all they did was take some x-rays and kind of like make a note saying like she's cleared for military duty, which is all they needed, I thought. So just a heads up before I go more into my entire process, I just want to say that every process for everyone is going to be different. You're going to face different challenges. Some for you might be like super easy, just get through it and you're done with it. Some people take longer. My process, I've been told, was one of the longest ones there's been. And that's because of my ankle and my knees, and because the people down at MEPS kept asking for more and more and more paperwork. And so I took the x-rays, they gave me the note, and I sent that to MEPS. It took them about, I think it was like, I don't know, like a week or so before they got back to me and said, okay, you're clear to come in. And I was awesome. That's great. That's all I wanted. So that was late December by then, and holidays were coming up. So we decided that I would go down to MEPS the beginning of January. I remember it was a Tuesday, so it would be a 2-day process. And how that would work is I would go down on Tuesday afternoon. I would take my real ASVAB. I would take my real ASVAB Monday, and then at their office, because they're able to do that there. Not all the recruiters are able to take the ASVAB at their offices. Like, you won't be able to do that with every recruiter, but mine was able to do that for me. And so I was able to take my ASVAB on that Monday. And then how that would work is I would take the ASVAB Monday, and then I would go down to MEPS I would go down to MEPS Tuesday. And then I would go there in the afternoon, and you have to take what's called I don't remember what it's called, but it's just, you gotta take it the ASVAB again to make sure that you didn't cheat during your first round. And then you have to take that, and you have to take something called a PICAT, which is basically like a psychological test where they kind of make sure you're not like crazy or something. It's kind of tedious, I'm not gonna lie. It's really long, and there's sometimes it's just like a multiple choice test where they give you like, I think it's like 3 or 4 options, you gotta decide the one that sounds more like you, and then sometimes neither of the options sound like you because they all sound horrible, but you still gotta pick one regardless. So that was kind of tedious. But anyway, backtracking. So I would go down Tuesday, and then that night I would stay at the MAPS Hotel, which is really close to the MAPS facility. I would stay there, and then next morning, really early, at like 4:30, you have to get up, go get breakfast, and then go back down to MAPS for your full physical, and then signing contract and swearing ceremony. So that's what I had planned for. I was super excited. I knew the holidays were coming up, so I knew I would have time to study for my ASVAB before I actually took it, which was really good. Thankfully, my recruiter was able to give me a practice test that I could like go over and over and over until I got it right. And since when I practiced the ASVAB online, now my recruiter's office that first time, I only did math and English. I didn't know there were more components to it then, but there's actually they test general science, arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, mathematical knowledge, electronics information, auto and shop information, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. So as you can see, it's like a very broad range of stuff, and I did not know anything about like electrical or stuff or like mechanical stuff. Like I don't know any of that except for like what my father has taught me from like my car and stuff. But those kind of things, the questions were kind of like, oh, if a tank is leaking, what does that mean? And I'm just like, I have no idea. So thankfully that practice test really helped me out. Just kind of look at the kind of questions there would be, and it would help me like research what I needed to research. And so then I went. So after the holidays were over, I went down to the office that Monday. I took my ASVAB again, and I got a 72, which is actually really, really good. And I was super proud of myself because I'm like, yes, I studied for this. I've been working hard for it. Finally, you know. And I was so excited because I knew the next day I would go down to MAPS and everything would be great. Anyway, fast forward to the next day. I go to my recruiter's office, I think at like 11 a.m. So it's not super early or anything. And then they give me a brief, which is a really long brief telling you how to behave at MAPS and what's gonna happen. They're gonna tell you what they're gonna do to you, what they're gonna test you on, all that kind of stuff. The main thing to get out of that is just be well behaved. You know, just be respectful to everyone at MAPS. Take into account the rules they give you in the briefings and all that stuff. You don't want to get in trouble for being stupid. You know, it's really easy. Just behave. You know, they say kind of treat it as if you were in an airport. Just kind of that caution. And so I went to MAPS that day. I think it was January 6th. I remember. And so I went down. My recruiter took me. I had my bag ready to go. They give you a check-in list of what to pack, so you make sure you have everything at the hotel. Anyway, I go down there. You put your bag in like a little room with all the bags, and you have your phone in there too. You don't get to take your phone with you around MAPS, so it's interesting. I took a book with me though, and I recommend you do it as well. Even if you don't enjoy reading, you're gonna have a lot of free time of just sitting around with nothing to do. So it's gonna save you some like boredom and help pass the time. But anyway, we get there, and the first thing you do is you kind of go into your branch's office. So I would go into the National Guard office. Like everyone that goes into the Army or into anything like Navy and all that kind of stuff, they go through MAPS as well, the same place. They have all the branches or the offices there. So I would go into the National Guard Army, and there's the National Army National Guard office. And that's when they tell me, oh, we actually can't process you today. And my heart kind of dropped. I'm not gonna lie. I was really bummed about that because I was so ready. And then, but they did tell me I could at least take my ASVAB, and then I'd be able to just go home and get the other stuff I needed, which was just more paperwork for my ankle and my knees. So that was really fun to find out. And they didn't tell us what we needed yet because they didn't know. They wouldn't know until a couple days later. So they just knew they couldn't process me, even though they gave me the green light before. So that was kind of fun. So anyway, I took my ASVAB again. I took my PICAT. Everything's fine. I didn't cheat on my ASVAB or anything. I'm not crazy. So I took that, and then my recruiter took me back home. I was really bummed that day because I was so ready to be in, and I knew the first real weekend was coming up really soon, and then I knew I wouldn't be able to make it. So that was really sad. So, after that, I went back to the doctor, got even more stuff. And that's when my recruiter noticed that I had an allergy listed for my allergy list, which is a medicine they don't use anymore because apparently it's toxic. So what I might have experienced with that was a toxic reaction when I was little. So I went back to the doctor's office and asked them if they could change it for me, just take it off because I didn't want to send the other note because apparently the first. So what happened? I'm sorry, I'm backtracking again. What happened? The first note they sent where it says I was clear for military. I was clear to be in the military basically. The first thing that would happen is that it was just a really little note. It was like 2 sentences that the doctor gave me, and they said that's not enough. It doesn't even have like the name of the surgeries you had. It doesn't have anything, and I get that. Obviously, it's my bad. I should have checked more before sending that out. So they got to change the allergies, and then my recruiter came in touch with them to tell them this is exactly word by word what I need on that note. And so we got that, and then we sent that note, and then they're like, oh well, we need more stuff. So it's getting frustrating at this point. It's been longer than it usually is. It's taken longer than it usually takes just to get into maps and get sworn in and stuff. And we're all growing kind of frustrated by this point. And so we asked them like, okay, what else do you need? And it takes them about 2 weeks, I think, to let me know they just need some more paperwork. I think they needed like another note or a note from me saying like I'm okay, like I've been fine, I'm not in pain, my knees and my ankles are fine, they feel fine. I'm a rock climber, so if they were really injured still, I think I would have felt it by now, you know. And then after that, finally, we sent that in, and I had a little thing of a special situation. I was in college, I was on campus, and my wallet was stolen. In my wallet, I had my green card, I had my license, I had a lot of paperwork of like personal stuff, and it was stolen. And the day after it was stolen, I found out I was clear to go down to maps again. I was crying a lot. I was really angry. I was really sad. I was just frustrated. I was angry at the world. I was dramatic. It was really frustrating because it was like finally I get to go down there. Finally I get to do my stuff. And now this happens. I have no green card, and I can't go down to maps without a green card, or so we thought. And I also can't go down there without an ID. So my recruiter's like, you know what? We're gonna wait a couple days. And I had talked to the police by then. I had told them what had happened, and they had said they found someone that they thought was the suspect. They had my wallet, because what happened was that they used my wallet inside the campus with my KSU ID, or like my campus ID. They used it a couple times within like an hour or so, and they have only a camera, so they were able to catch who it was. So my recruiter was like, you know what? Let's just wait, see if they can get your wallet back, and if they do, that's great. We'll just continue going. But a couple of weeks go by, and I know they have the suspect now, but they haven't said anything about my wallet, so I'm guessing they did not find it. The recruiter says, alright, go ahead, get a new green card, get a new ID. I'm going to find a way to get you processed into the guard without needing your green card. So from there, I went ahead, I filed for another green card. It's about $540, so that was fun. And then he said he found a way for me to go down there with just my ID, as long as I had like a receipt from my green card saying that it was being processed. So I got the receipt, I sent it to him. He said, okay, cool, go get your ID now, which I thought would be a breeze, just going down to the DMV, getting my driver's license again. Like, it's fine, I don't have to take a test or anything. I should be okay, right? No, wrong. So I go down there, and they told me they can't give me a license without my green card, which is really confusing because I remember getting the first time I got my license 3 years ago. I did not have a green card then. I was processing. It was like on the mail, I think, but I didn't have it on me yet when I got that license. So they tell me, well, what you can do is you either need like there was like some sheet that the immigration service would send me once the green card was like approved or something like that. They said they needed that and my social security. So I get that like the next day I get something in my mail from the immigration office, and so I take that in my I take my passport to not take any chances, and I take my social security card down to the DMV, and they tell me nope, that doesn't work. You actually need this other paper. Or you can go down to an immigration office and get a stamp on your passport. So I'm like, okay, cool, because I don't know how long that paper's gonna take. So I go ahead and make an appointment with the immigration office, and I have planned to go down there a day, like a week later, something like that. So I tell my recruiter what's going on. I keep him updated just so that he knows that I'm working on it. I'm trying to get stuff done. So the next day, actually, I get the other paperwork they needed from me. So I go take that to the DMV, and the lady's like, "Nope, we still can't take that." And I show her the sheet where it says, like, this is what you need, and this is what I have. So then she talks to like the manager, and the manager's like, "Okay, yeah, she can get her license." And I'm not someone that's confrontational. I never like to argue with people just because I've worked in retail. I know, although it's not DMV, it's not retail, but like I know like what it's like dealing with customers who are rude. So I never try to be rude. But at this point, I was so frustrated, and they kept telling me like, no, this doesn't work. So I had to be like, no, listen, you told me this would work. I have this, and I have these other things. Like, I need my license. So I finally got my temporary license that day, which was amazing. It was such a relief. And we scheduled me to go down to Maps. I think it's like a week later or something like that, like soon after. And so I go down to Maps again. This is probably late February by now. And then I'm able to go down there. I go to the hotel that day because so they have a 2-day processing that I told you guys about, but on Mondays they just do everything that day. If you gotta take the ASVAB, you do the ASVAB and then go through physical after. So I went down on a Sunday to the hotel. I stayed there the night. My roommate was awesome. She's so funny. She was shipping out the next day. And I felt so bad for her. But so I went down to Maps that next day, and the next morning at like 4:30 a.m. It's insane. Like you're so sleep deprived. I did not sleep well that night. My throat felt scratchy. I was super paranoid. I have a little like issue for the week before that I had with my skin or with anything. I was super worried about it. I was like, well, would I disqualified because of this? Can I get disqualified because of that? You know, like every little like pimple I had, I was like super paranoid about. You know, in the end, that's what's gonna happen the week before you go down to Maps. It's terrifying. Your body likes to do things that week that you're not used to, so now you're scared. So it was fun. But anyway, I go down, and then that day, I after breakfast, they take you down to Maps. They have to like line up as you go in, and then I got to be first in line, which was really cool. It was really good. The first thing you do is check in, and then go to your branch's office. National Guard for me, obviously. I go down to National Guard office. They told me, all right, go ahead down to physical. I was lucky that I was first in line because that meant I got to do my vision test and my vital signs taken before anyone else was in that room, which is really good. It was super fast. So I passed both, obviously. I have good vision. I've always had 20/20 vision, and my vital signs were okay, except for like a little bit of a high pressure. But they take that meaning like, oh, you're just nervous. Up to a certain point, obviously. If your pressure is really high, then you should probably get that checked. So after that, I have to wait for a while. One thing you're gonna kind of make sure you know before you go to Maps and prepare yourself is that there's gonna be a lot of what they call hurry up and wait. You know, there's a lot of hurrying you up around, hurrying you like trying to like get you to places fast, and then when you get to that place, now you have to wait for a couple hours. That's just how it's gonna be. There's no way around it. Just sit down, wait for it. You can talk to people around you, just don't be too loud because they'll get mad at you. So after that, I went for my hearing test. I was with a bunch of people. We just all got into like the little hearing booth thing and had to go through stuff. I think we all passed that. People I was with, and then that's when you get divided into like male and female. If you're a girl, you're lucky because the group for girls is way smaller than the group for guys is. That means you get done with stuff way faster. So after that, I think we went and did, yeah, we had our urine test. Like, that one's really fun. You go by twos, and then you go to 2 stalls. Like you go to one stall, the other person goes to the other one. There's no doors in the stalls, obviously, because the nurse is taking care of that. Has to make sure that it's your sample, basically, making sure you're not like stealing from anything or like I don't know. So from there, I think the only thing they do with that is they give you a pregnancy test and they send the rest for a tox screen, make sure you're not on drugs or something. And after that, I went and got my blood drawn. I can't remember what they test with that. I'm sorry, but I think it's again like a tox screen or something like that. So you get your blood drawn, and then you go and get your weight and height checked. You gotta make sure you're not overweight or underweight for your height. What I only know about being overweight. Sorry. So if you're overweight, what they do is they disqualify you for then, but they give you like, let's say you're like 4 pounds overweight, which is not a lot. They give you a week to get 2 pounds down. So like if you're 4 pounds over, they give you 2 weeks so that you're back at your normal weight or the way you're supposed to be at, and then they give you another date to come back and get that done. Thankfully, I was fine. I was between the range, and then after that, they took me in for my like a pap smear and like a full like physical, just kind of a medical history kind of thing. And that was the part I was worried about because it's kind of orthophysical as well. Like it took like to look into your orthopedics and stuff, and that's where I knew I could probably get in trouble, or not in trouble, just disqualify it or something like that. I was really nervous by then. And so they told me that she was just asking me about my surgeries and stuff. She was looking at the paperwork, at the X-rays, all that kind of stuff, and then she was asking me like something about my cartilage in my ankle, and I'm like, well, I don't think that was like I really can't remember. It was so long ago, but I really don't think that was a problem with the surgery or anything like that. But then she ended up saying that because it was a cartilage fracture, which I don't even know if it was anymore, honestly. But she said that because it was, I was gonna need a waiver, so I wasn't gonna be able to swear in that day. Which I took so good. I mean, obviously, I didn't like get mad at her or anything. I was just like, all right, fine, I'll get a waiver and come back. But I still got to finish my physical. So after that, I got a pap smear, and then I went back out and had like a mobility test done, where you have to do the infamous dog walks. I fell on my butt at least 2 times, but I passed, so that's good. And then after that, we got to have lunch, which is just like a gas station sandwich. You might not be wanting to eat it because it looks gross, but I suggest you do. Take into account by this time it's probably like any time between 11 and 1:30 p.m. And so you haven't eaten since 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. So it's been a really long time. And you might be there until like 5 when your ceremony is going to be. So you want to eat because if you pass out, you're disqualified. You don't want that. So just eat. It's a gas station sandwich, but it's really not that bad if you make it seem. I was fine with it. I don't eat a lot, but I still ate like half my sandwich to make sure I had enough energy to go through the day, even if I wasn't gonna swear in. I didn't want to pass out at the mouse facility. So after that I go down, I take my paperwork to the office, and they tell me, right, all you need now is a waiver. And I get in touch with my recruiter, and he says that for the waiver, all he needs to do is just run a waiver himself, telling like everyone like, oh, she's fine. Like he included the fact about me rock climbing, saying like if she already had an injury, that would be an issue, but she hasn't had one, and that waiver needs to go through your recruiter superiors and then back down to MAPS to get approved. Thankfully, that process was fast, and I got to go back down to MAPS somewhere around mid-March, I want to say, is when I went back down. And so before that, I forgot to tell you about MOS. So I'm going to backtrack and go to that. So the MOS is basically the job you're going to have. When you go down to basic, you have 3 months of basic training that everyone goes through. It's just all the stuff you've heard about. There's a ton of videos on that if you want to go and check it out. I cannot talk about a lot of the basic because I haven't been in it, and I don't want to give out inaccurate information. So you go 3 months to basic on whatever fort you're going to. I'm going to Fort Till, Oklahoma, but I don't have a ship date yet, and I'll go into that later. And then you choose an AIT, which is your job that you're gonna take. So there's like all sorts of jobs. Because I'm an English major, I was kind of looking into something like communication or human resources or something like that. And that's when I came across, I think it was 88 Mike, which is like a driver's job. And I really, really like to drive. I love driving around. I can drive for hours without getting tired. It's something that relaxes me. And I thought, well, that looks kind of fun, you know. But then, upon talking about it with some other people in the National Guard and my parents and everyone, they told me, you know what? I know you like driving, but it might not be for you because it's a job that it's a good job if you drive a lot and if you like driving. But when you have a high line score like I did with my 72, if you can take another job that's, I don't want to say better, but just something that suits you more, you should. You know, if you have the line score for it, you definitely should try to get something higher. And so looking into that, I looked into some logistics and it finally clicked. And I saw like 68 whiskey, which is combat medic. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm doing. Because as you know, I was about to be I also wanted to study medicine in college, which I ended up not doing, but this was like the perfect opportunity for me to do. The only difference is that it being a 68 whiskey and being like such an important job, it's a bit longer than the other MOSs. Some MOSs can take anything up to like from 4 weeks up to like a lot. I don't even know how long, but mine is gonna be 16 weeks, so it's a lot longer. And for that, I would go down to Fort Sam Houston. But anyway, so I got the waiver, and then I went back to MAPS in March. I had to get up. I didn't go to the hotel before that. I actually just went straight from my house. I went to meet my recruiter, and then he took me from there at like 4 a.m. again. So I went down, and that day was a really long day. I'm not gonna lie. I got there at 5:30. I want to say. You know, I checked in with everyone else, and then I just had to sit in the waiting room by the office for a couple hours. I brought my book again. I kept reading. And then they called me in. We kind of looked over my contract. That's when they tell you where you're going and when you're going. I was going to be set to go on May 11th. But since I don't have my green card yet and everything's been kind of like in a standstill since the virus started, so the immigration office is not really working right now, so I kind of have to wait a bit longer on that. So right now we're trying to schedule my ship date at a later date, which I don't know what it's going to be at, but it's okay. You have 8 months after you sign contract, so you can change your ship date if you need to. That's not a big issue. You won't lose your AIT or anything like that. And so around I want to say probably around 9 o'clock is when they called me in to review all of that. So it's been a couple hours of me just sitting there doing nothing. Do not fall asleep though. You cannot fall asleep. They'll yell at you. They'll wake you up. They tell you if I can't sleep, you can't sleep either. So don't fall asleep if you don't want to get in trouble. And so after that, I think I just went and they took my biometrics, which is just your fingerprints. They scan for the FBI and stuff. Make sure you're not like a criminal or something. And then after that, I think I just went, had lunch again, and I felt really bad because my dad was waiting outside all day. He had gotten there at 10 because that's when they told him to come for my swearing ceremony. But by then it was almost 1 o'clock, and I still hadn't even signed a contract. So I was feeling really bad about that. I was feeling so bad. I even asked my recruiter hey, can I call my dad real quick so he can know to go get some lunch and then come back because he's gotta be starving by now. And so he let me do that, and they went and had lunch and came back. After that, I went back, signed my contract, and then I just got to go to the swearing ceremony, and then I was in. So it was about 4 months process for me to actually get in and get everything done. I was shaking on my swearing ceremony. But I made it through it. It was really scary though, but it was really exciting to finally be in. After that, all that's happened in between then and now is I had my security clearance interview, which is an FBI agent will call you, depending on your MOS too. I know mine was secret, but there's top secret, there's secret, then there's confidential, and others I can't remember right now. Mine was secret. And they just kind of go through your reference window, through your reference packet and all that kind of stuff, and then they reach out to them, and it's just very easy, just as long as you haven't lied, as long as you haven't convicted any crimes or anything like that, you should be in the clear. Make sure you don't lie though, because they'll know if you lie, and then you'll be in big trouble. So don't lie about silly stuff. One of the things that happened to me was I had forgotten my first job. Well, my second job, I kind of blocked out of my mind because it was so horrible. And then when she called me, I was like, oh, actually, wait, I forgot about this one thing, and she just put it in there, and it was like, it was done. It's not a big deal. So that's kind of all that has happened since then. Um, um, Drill weekend was supposed to be April 18th and 19th, but that's not gonna happen because of the whole virus going on. So yeah, before you go to basic, um, if you don't go immediately, which you should anyway, you should have a couple months before you go, and those months you'll attend drill weekend with your recruiter and another group of people who have not gone to basic yet. And then after basic, you get assigned a unit, and then you go to drill weekends with them as well after that. So that's kind of it for now. I already went through everything I wanted to go through. I hope you guys find this video really helpful, and I hope this makes you want to join. If you do, I do encourage you to go look at other videos of people who have already been through basic, because I found out things really cool things about basic that I didn't know before that. So I just encourage you to go ahead and do that. I'm definitely gonna try to keep the video vlog of my army like style, like army life from now on. Try to keep you guys updated on what's going on, the new things that I do, drill weekends, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna try to make videos about once I know more. But for now, this is all. Thank you if you stuck around this entire time. I know this is a really long video. My throat really feels it right now. But I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. This video, I mean, since like I started my process, I just did it. I wanted to be like more like farther along into the process before I made it. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated, and that's it for now. Bye. So last thing, P.S. I'm leaving my recruiter's information down below in the description. Make sure you check it out if you're interested. He'll be able to answer any questions you need. There's no commitment with just emailing him or shooting him a text and asking him any questions you might have. It might help like get you into the guard if you want to. So just go ahead and check that out.